All right, guys, let's take them on. I am sick and tired of these evolutionists, humanists, and atheists taking over the culture. Are you ready? And we'll use this. Not really. I meant figuratively. Come on. Some of you guys need help. Ooh, sorry, dude. In these next two sessions entitled Simple Tools for Brain Surgery, I will show you how to pry open that little glob of gray matter called the brain and get people to rethink their belief systems. And remember, it's all in the questions. I get to teach you 4 questions. These questions will stand you in good stead no matter what the topic, creation, evolution, it doesn't matter what the topic is. If you learn to use these questions wisely, you will appear to be more intelligent than 95% of the people around you. These are good questions to use in any circumstance. Now, there are benefits to asking good questions. However, there are a couple of warnings I need to give you before we get into this. The first warning is this, and you may have already figured this out. That is, I am not a nice guy. Nor do I think that Christians ought to be nice people. And I am very serious about this. In fact, when you leave here this evening, I hope you're never a nice Christian again. How many of you have used the word nice today? Okay. Nice day, nice meal, nice shirt, okay, nice car, nice guy. How many of you have used the word nice in the past week? Ever in your life have you used the word nice? Tough group this evening. Okay. We use it in such a variety of ways that it means everything, therefore it means what? Nothing. It is an imprecise word. Now, if you look in the dictionary, next to the entry of the word nice, not only will you see a paragraph of meanings, but you will see the etymology of the word nice. Everybody say, etymology, ooh. Using big words in big church tonight, aren't we? Yes, we are. You'll find that the origin of the word nice comes from 2 Latin parts. The root is the Latin word scire, S-C-I-R-E, which means to know, as in knowledge. However, there is a prefix that goes with it. The prefix is the prefix N-E, which is the negative. It means not. So the original intention of the word nice, therefore, was ignorant. Nice day. Nice car. Nice meal. Nice shirt. Nice guy. Kind of makes you want to cut that word right out of your vocabulary, does it not? You see, I do not think that Christians ought to be ignorant of anything that goes on around them. That's one reason I strive not to be a nice guy. The second reason is that Jesus was never a nice guy. I mean, after all, the woman who was caught in the act of adultery, when she was dragged before him, did he sit her down and say, you know what, I understand you had an abusive childhood, therefore you have a very low self-image. If we could just work on your self-esteem, perhaps you wouldn't act out this way. Is that what he said to her? Everybody look at me and say, no. What did he say to her? Go and sin no more. Was that nice? No. Was he being truthful? Was he being loving? There's the rub, isn't it? You see, Christians are to speak the truth. Oh, in love. Now there's the rub, because I can do one or the other on my own. I can be very truthful and I become very, very harsh. Or I can just love everybody and I become mush. The only way I can speak the truth in love is by the power of the Holy Spirit working through me. So, once you leave here, I hope you're never a nice Christian again. I hope you're neither ignorant of what's going on around you, nor so pleasant that you fail to confront people with the truth. Which brings me to warning number 2. Once you learn these questions, you're going to find that there are 2 ways you can use these questions. You may use these questions as one would use a sledgehammer. What's the purpose of a sledgehammer? To bash and smash things. Now what's going to happen is, after you learn these questions, The next time you're out, you meet an atheist or an evolutionist or a New Ager or Ramalama Ding Dong or whatever there is that's out there, what's going to happen is your eyes are going to light up. You're going to begin to drool and salivate all over yourself. You're going to reach over and grab the questions. You're going to walk over and go, "Hi, whappo!" and watch his head explode. Now, that's a whole lot of fun, but people do tend to run away from you when you approach them that way. So do not use the questions as a sledgehammer. Instead, I want you to learn to use the questions as one would use a crowbar. Now, what's the purpose of a crowbar? Pry things open. So what you do is you grab your questions, you walk over, you go, "Hi." And you pry open his what? His mind, to get him to do what? To think. Sometimes that's the best you can do. Sometimes the best you can do is simply get people to think about their own position. Well, so I want you to learn to use the questions as a... Oh, that's pretty weak. Learn to use the questions as a... That's pretty over the top. But not as a sledgehammer. Okay, with those two in mind, I'm going to teach you these questions. Now, there are several benefits to asking good questions, and you're going to see that as we go along. In fact, even the great philosophers have told us there are benefits to asking questions. Aristotle said that those who wish to succeed must ask the right preliminary, the right beginning questions. There's all kinds of benefits to asking good questions. One of the basic ones is that you don't have to know very much at all to ask intelligent questions, which is why I like to ask a lot of questions, because I don't know very much at all, and all you have to do is talk to me for a few minutes, and you'll figure that one out. But there are other benefits, and we'll see that as we go along. So it's going to be a short course in analytical thinking. A short course in analytical thinking. First question that you need to ask when anybody... What's your name, man? Justin. Please hold down the enthusiasm, okay? What's your name? Justin. Okay. Justin, I need you to do me a favor, okay? I left something in my room, room 116. Would you go get it for me? It's over in the lodge. It's on this side, okay? I need you to bring me back something because I need it for this next illustration. I left it in my room. Would you mind doing that for me? Okay, I need you to bring me back the right-handed thingamajig. So while Justin's going to get the right-handed thingamajig, I'm going to teach you these questions. Hey, Justin, you got a question for me, dude? Kinda? What is it? The right-handed thingamajig. So while he's going to get the right-handed... Do you have another question for me, Justin? Oh, very good. Come back here. Give me my key back. I'm glad I didn't give him the keys to the car. He would have been out the door. Yeah, that's mine. You see, if Justin didn't ask me, what do you mean by the right-handed thingamajig, he might have gone over to my room, rummaged around, and dragged back, the left-handed whatchamacallit. The first question you need to ask when anybody tells you anything is, what do you mean by what you're saying? What do you mean by what you're saying? Now, I have grown more and more fond of this question. For example, let's say you're out at the mall sharing your faith, which is why everybody goes to the mall, right? And you walk up to somebody and you start telling them about Jesus, and they say, "Whoa, you don't need to talk to me. I'm already a Christian." What do you mean by Christian? Now, if they are, should they have any difficulty telling you? No. If they're not, do you think you'll find out rather rapidly? See the beauty of asking that question? Well, that's the first question. The second question is what I call the killer question. This is the question that stops most discussions on any topic. In fact, when you ask this question, eyes roll to the back of the head, jaws go slack, and all you count are nostril hairs. Because people tend to go belly up when you ask this question. And that question, of course, is, well, how do you know? How do you know that what you're saying is true? How do you know? If you get past this question, and you very seldom, if ever, do, but if you get past this question, the next question is also a great question to ask. That question is, well, what difference does what you're saying make in your life? Or, so what? Everybody try that with me? So what? Ooh, students with attitudes, I like it. And then finally, the last question is also a great question. It's based on Pascal's wager. So you might know who Pascal was. Who was he? Yes, sir. He was a mathematician. He was a French mathematician, but we won't hold that against him. Anyway, he was not only a mathematician. What did he discover, by the way? You remember what he discovered? Laws of probability. If you've studied the law of probability, you have studied Pascal. But he was not only a great mathematician, he was also a great philosopher. He was a Christian philosopher. And he came up with this bet, this wager. He said, if I as a Christian am wrong about there being a God, then all I've done is live my life by a set of rules out of a book that has provided nothing but good and benefit for mankind. And when I die, that's all there is. But if you as a non-Christian are wrong about there not being a God and you die, are you willing to suffer the consequences? Pretty good wager, is it not? Well, boiled down, it comes down to one simple question. And that question, of course, is, well, what if you are wrong? What if you are wrong? Well, these are the 4 questions. Very easy to learn. What's the difficult part? Using them wisely. Now, everyone in here knew these questions instinctively when you were 2 years old. You just knew them in the form of one word. What was that word? Why? And by the time you were 4, your parents had beaten it out of you. They were so tired of hearing it. So I'm not giving you anything new. I'm just teaching you the same question in a more sophisticated form. But again, the difficult part is not learning the questions. The difficult part is using them wisely. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go out and we're going to practice using the questions. We're going to go out and we're going to interview a humanist and an atheist. We are going to interview a humanist and an atheist. We are going to interview a humanist and... I teach you the questions and you don't use the questions. You're all looking at me going, Bill, you're such a nice guy. I don't care who's standing before you. I don't care if it is your best bud. I don't care if it's your pastor. I don't care if it is Dan Rather off the CBS Evening News. Oops, he is off the CBS Evening News. I don't care who it is that's standing before you. You need to be asking the question. If not asking it verbally, you need to be at least what? Thinking of the question to ask. Okay. You need to be asking the questions, okay? Well, you tell me, what is a humanist? What is a humanist? Someone who's human. Okay, we'll start with that. Let's work with it. What's a humanist? Yes. Well, there are, generally they would say that, let's put it a little different way. Can you state that a little differently? Instead of saying that they say there's no God, what would they say is supreme? Man is supreme. Man is the supreme being in the universe. Okay? So normally we would say not only are they humanistic, they're also what? Atheistic as well. Now there is such a thing as a Christian humanist, right? You've heard the term. That's kind of like what's that called? Oxymoron, right? An oxymoron. Okay? It's like black light. Dry ice. Jumbo shrimp. So we got an oxymoron here. So a Christian humanist is an oxymoron. But generally, humanists not only believe that man is supreme, but they also deny anything that is what? Supernatural as well. Okay? So then what about the 2 questions that any good worldview will attempt to answer? What is the nature of God? What's the nature of? Okay, we've already answered the nature of God, that he is non-existent at worst or irrelevant at best. But what about the nature of man? Is he good, inherently good, or inherently flawed? He's inherently good. So then what do you do about right and wrong? How does a humanist determine what is right and wrong? You know, when I got here this evening, the fire marshal met me outside. He said, Bill, he said, I'm not sure that you have enough room in the meeting room to meet the fire code. You have to have so many square feet per person. He said, would you mind taking this tape measure and measuring the room and calculating the square footage? He said, I have to run off to a fire or something. So I said, okay, I'll do that. So I went in, measured the room, calculated the square footage, and then I thought, because I'm an old bonehead English teacher, maybe I better get somebody to check my figures. So I got my good buddy, Tim. And Tim took the tape measure, he measured the room, he calculated the square footage, and he came up with an entirely different set of figures than I did. So we looked at each other. We thought, we better get somebody else. So we got Carl. Now, why we got Carl, I don't know. But we got Carl. He measured the room, he calculated the square footage, and he came up with an entirely different set of figures than either Tim or I did. And you know what? For the life of me, I can't figure out why in the world we all came up with different figures for the room. What's the problem here? It stretches, yes. It's zesty stretchy. Would you use my yardstick to build a building? If you do, don't invite me in the front door. And yet the humanist says that we can build a civilization by each person deciding for himself what is right and what is. Can you build a culture using that as a yardstick? Everybody look at me and say, no. Well, we're going to interview this humanist, and we're going to interview an atheist. We're going to start off with what I consider to be a great spiritual conversation starter. We're going to ask the question, what happens when you die? Now, how many possible answers are there to that question? 2, somebody said? How many possible answers? Many? Who said many? Lots, somebody said. I like it when somebody's specific like that. How much did you eat at supper tonight? Lots. Hon, how much did you spend at the mall? Lots. I am looking for a specific number. Well, let's name them. Let's name all the possibilities there can possibly be on the question of what happens when you die. What's one possibility? Nothing. You die, you rot, you stink, and become extinct. What's another possibility? Heaven or hell. Hebrews 9:27. It's appointed unto man once to die, and after this, the judgment. Okay, what's another possibility? Some form of reincarnation. Now, there are variations on a theme, right? But those are the 3. Now, by the way, is there any other possibility? Can anybody think of another possibility? Annihilation is extinction. Okay. Purgatory. Now, that's an interesting one, but purgatory is merely a stopping off place between heaven or hell. So you're still stuck with 3. Now, there's another one that people sometimes come up with. Pardon me? A spectral realm. What do you mean by that? Oh, ghosts, okay. But ghosts really is a form of what? Reincarnation. It's really kind of a holding tank until usually what happens? You get to go on to whatever you go on to, right? Or you get reincarnated. So it's kind of a nebulous position. It's not one that you can hold consistently. So you're still stuck with 3, but there's another one. Yes?
With the Mormon Church, they believe that when you die, you are a celestial being and you're in control of your own planet.
Well, that's a form of reincarnation. You get to become your own God. Well, that's if you're a good Mormon boy. You get to go rule your own planet, right? Dude, not bad. I get to be a god and I get to rule a planet. Where do I sign up? But if you're a good Mormon girl, then maybe the good Mormon boy gets to invite you to the planet and you get to be eternally morning sick. I never understood how they sold that one, But they do a good job, don't they? Okay? It's a form of reincarnation for them. There's another one. It's called nirvana, okay? Now, what's nirvana? I know it's a band. Kurt's dead, but never mind. What is nirvana? What's the idea of nirvana?
You join the ultimate of one.
You join the ultimate, okay? What do you mean by that?
What many consider to be the ultimate force, just the force of everything.
You become a drop in the ocean of consciousness, okay? Let's take this bottle of water out to the local body of water and let's dump it in, okay? Does this bottle of water retain its individuality, its distinctiveness, its personality? No. So it's what? Extinction. You're still stuck with what? Now, if you know all the answers to the question you're asking, will you be stumped by anything the person says? Everybody look at me and say, no. What would be a logical follow-up question to whatever the person says happens when you die? What if you are and you die?